try our best to start substituting. If you know a word in Arabic, use it. You know, even if we got to go in between Arabic and English, it's better than no Arabic. You know, if you know a word in Arabic, use it. And as students, you know, because that's نحن طلاب, you know, هذه اللغة, right? And we should try our very best to use when we use words, be conscious of i'rab. You know, it's not enough, you know, like, so that way, you know, we try to think, because we have to get to the point where we're not afraid to start speaking. Okay, we're only going to do that. We have to start, you know, using words now. There's no need us keep saying, using the chair, where everybody knows what chair is in Arabic. Door, you know, these common words now. Start using them in Arabic. Basic questions, you know, this is on people like myself, you know, try to encourage you to start speaking. And, you know, and so that way, hopefully it comes out in a natural response. Just want, you know, as soon as we get finished, you know, I'm going to dive right into this here, inshallah.
خلاص.
انتهيت يا آية؟ انتهيت؟ نعم. نعم. Complete sentence. نعم. Go ahead. نعم. انتهيت. I said انتهيت. نعم.
نعم.
انتهيت.
انتهيت.
You speaking. I. So how do you make the verb say I? Past tense verb. How do you make it say I? Anybody?
Two.
Intahi, two. I. Right? And anytime you put the tab with dhamma, it makes it say I. Now, intahi, two. Time. We've been talking last few weeks about the different skills that's needed in acquiring the language. Okay? We've been talking about the few skills. And I think this is the last Sunday in the month. Oh, we got one more Sunday? We have one more Sunday in this month? Huh? One more Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we'll be into the good old month of April. We go back to Dr. Abdur-Rahim's book in April, inshallah. Okay? We'll go back to his book, the first Sunday in April, inshallah, first class we have is Sunday. Okay? So we were talking about the different skills that's needed. Okay? We done looked at some different texts last couple of weeks, exciting texts actually. لدي سؤال من قال الأمر واضح من قال هذا من قال الأمر واضح من قال الأمر واضح من قال بالعربية من قال الأمر واضح الذئب قال هذا لماذا لماذا ما السبب لماذا قال الذئب الأمر واضح لماذا ما السبب ما السبب القول الذئب الأمر واضح لماذا قال هذا؟ الأسد أمره أو قال له اقسم، فقال الذئب الأمر واضح.
الحمار الحمار
لا 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 لا، هذا ليس سؤال. لماذا؟
Oh, the name.
لا لا لا، لماذا؟ لماذا؟ Why? Why did the ذئب say الأمر واضح? Why? لماذا؟ لأن الأسد قال له اقسم. Why did the ذئب say الأمر واضح? Why?
Khalifa was head. That's not
لا لا. لماذا قال الذئب الأمر واضح؟
because
لأن very important. لأن, anytime you hear لماذا, ما السبب؟ لأن, because. لأن الأسد, because the أسد قال له اقسم. What did the Asad say to the Dhib? Iqsim. And so, and then after that, what did the Dhib say? Al-amru wadih.
It's easy. This is easy, right?
Bil-Arabiya. Al-amru wadih. That's the sabab.
Okay.
Sabab. We should know sabab as Muslim, as Asbabun Nuzul. Purpose for revelation. Sabab is the singular. The reason, the motive. Right? The reason that the Dhib said, Al-Amru Wadi, لماذا؟ لأن الأسد قال له اقسم. لأن, because Al-Asad قال له, who? Al-Dhib. What did he say to the Dhib? اقسم. اقسم. الذئب هو قال الأمر واضح. حمار لمن? The himar liman. Who? Who gets the himar? Asad. Wa dhab. Who gets the dhab? ثعلب. والأرنب لمن؟ للذئب. طيب. ماذا فعل الأسد؟ ماذا فعل الأسد بعدما سمع هذه القسمة؟ ماذا فعل الأسد؟ ماذا؟ نعم ضرب الذئب. ضرب الذئب فأطار رأسه. بالعربية يجب عليكم أن نفكر بالعربية. Arabic. هذه اللغة الدرس العربية ليس الإنجليزية. هذا الدرس الفصل العربية. طيب. الأسد ضرب الذئب فأطار رأسه. طيب. ماشي؟ فهمت؟
نعم.
طيب. الذئب قال اقسم لمن بعد ذلك. لثعلب. تعال. وماذا قال الثعلب؟ وماذا قال الثعلب؟
قال ثعلب
الحمار للأسد. متى another good word for us. متى ميم تاء ألف مكسورة. متى it's a question word. when. متى الحمار للأسد. متى لا غدا للغدا في الوقت غدا. بعد الحمار الضب. متى للعشاء. طيب بعد الضب الأرنب. متى بين ماذا وهذا تسمى وجبتين. بين وجبتين الغداء والعشاء. هذه وجبة وهذه وجبة. الأرنب بينهما. هذه وجبة وهذه وجبة والأرنب بينهما. نعم. طيب بعدما سمع الأسد هذه القسمة ماذا قال للذئب؟ بعدما سمع هذه القسمة. بعدما سمع الأسد هذه القسمة ماذا قال للذئب أو للثعلب عفوا؟ بعدما سمع هذه القسمة. ما هي القسمة؟ الحمار للعصر عند الغداء والضب للعصر عند العشاء والأرنب للأسد بين وجبتين. طيب فقال أسد ماذا؟
قال أسد.
نعم.
قال أسد
هذه لأنها قسمة مؤنث فيمينين. هذه قسمة. ماذا؟ عادلة. ومن تعلمتها. كيف تعرف هذه القسمة عادلة؟ كيف تعرف هذا؟ ما شاء الله ممتاز. أنت قاضي ما شاء الله. كنت تعرف قاضي جاج. في فكر يعني عسل هو ظن الثعلب قاضي ما شاء الله. القسمة عادل وما شاء الله ممتاز له كل شيء. وهو قال للثعلب من تعلمه كهذه القسمة عادلة. وماذا قال؟ ما إجابة الثعلب؟ كيف تعرف هذه القسمة؟ كيف تعرف؟ نعم. من رأس الذئب الذي طار. It doesn't matter what the language is. The only way you have to go back and you have to question yourself about what you. That's how you pick up and know you learn. To write it down in English is not a testimony that you learn in anything. It's here. Even if we don't get it all, but it's here. It's because we want the juices to start thinking. This is what we want to do. So today, inshallah, اليوم نقف عند إمام علي رضي الله تعالى عنه كرم الله وجهه. وهو رجل عميق في العلم. وهذا, this is a poem. This is a poem. Okay? With me in teaching, see, I'm not afraid to delve into different kind of things because, you know, studying, I like grammar, but it's boring. It's boring. If you study grammar all the time, you will leave it. This is why we have to do different things, so you can see the value of why you should study grammar. When you see what it has, then it makes you want to go after the grammar more. Okay? So this here is an introduction to a poem. We're not going to get into like the different sections. If you notice that we have two different sides of the poem. Okay? You know, later on in our studies, we go into what each side is called. Okay? But what suffices for us today is that in English, we would call this a what? This line here, what would we call that?
A verse or
A verse. In Arabic, we call it a bait. We call it a bait. Okay, in English, we call it a verse. In Arabic, we call it a bait. Okay, now we all know what a bait is. A bait ma'aruf. Right? Ma jamuha. Ma jamu bait. What's the plural for bait? Buyut. Here, no. For this one, no. Abyat is the plural. If you go to your dictionaries, look up the word bait so you can see it. Okay? Okay? We know bait and we know its plural, which is buyut. Okay? But now, we don't say in the world or in the science of poetry, ilm urud, we don't say bait, buyut. We say abyat for its plural. Ba, ya, ta. Everybody see it? What page? 84. How you say 84 in Arabic? Anybody? Come on. Arba. Come on. Wa. Any compound number you need wow in it. Wa. Mumtaz. Thamanun. Arba wa thamanun. Ali not ready to go to the next level. Uh-oh.
What?
Uh-oh, he not ready. Oh, man. Arba wa thamanun. Safha arba wa thamanun. Okay, everybody see it? Okay, so if you should see bait, the regular bait that we have, you see this plural. Okay? Okay. And if you come on down some, not too far. You see the plural abyad and you see what it says. Perfect. So that plural there is just in the science of poetry. Right? We don't, you know, it's not, we don't call houses abyad. Okay? So sometimes a plural or even a regular noun or singular could have a specialized meaning. So right now, in poetry, abyad is a specialized meaning that's applied just to poetry. It means for the verses in poetry, okay? All right. So, one of the other things you'll notice about in poetry, you know, I'm just going to right off just tell you. The ta marabuta here, I mean, a lot of times, you know, it may not show the ta because why at the end, how do ta sound? And if you notice, if you look at every bait, what does it end in? Ha, to keep the rhythm, to keep the sound. Okay, so a lot of times on the end of a word, okay, you know, although it's truly a ta, the pronunciation comes out as ha. So that's why we got rid of the took off the nuktain. Okay, okay, right. So. كم جملة بالعربية كم جملة بالعربية كم جملة بالعربية. I gave you the answer. كم جملة بالعربية. كم جملة بالعربية. كم جملة. I didn't say what are they. كم.
Oh.
How many?
How many? Come on. كم. Answer.
اثنين.
لا بالعربية.
اثنين.
اثنان. اثنتان.
Oh.
كم جملة بالعربية. How many types of sentences are in Arabic? That's why I gave you the answer. I said like this.
Oh.
I mean, short of saying it in English, right? Said like this. Do something. Alright? Okay? اثنان. إحداهما الجملة اسمية. One of them we know is جملة اسمية. والأخرى الفعلية. And the other is جملة فعلية. Right? We have a sentence that begins with a noun, and the other one is a sentence that begins with a verb. Okay? Alright. We have some words in Arabic that affect jumla ismiya. Among those words is a word like inna. Inna affects jumla ismiya. And the meaning for jumla ismiya, what do we need for jumla ismiya? Mubtada or cover. That's it. We need mubtada and we need cover. Okay? So, if we say for an example, if we say for an example, right? If we say for an example, Muhammad Rasul Allah. I purposely read without the i'rab. Okay? Muhammad is going to be used as mubtada. Okay? In Arabic grammar, mubtada is marfu da'iman. Okay, right? In grammar, if we acknowledge that a word is being used as mubtada, it has to be marfu. Right? And so marfu, like hakada. Right? Muhammadun. Rasul is its cover. But also, because of the arrangement, is also mudaf. And in Arabic grammar, once we recognize a word being the cover in a jumla ismiya, in a sentence that begins with a ismiya, a noun, the mubtada and its cover is also marfu. Right? Now, why didn't I put it in tanween? Because Rasul is also mudaf. And the rule for mudaf, it can't begin with alif and lam, and it can't end in tanween. Right? Ma'aruf. And then Allah ismu jalala is occupying what position grammatically? Mudaf ilayhi. Right? It's the mudaf, it's attached to, right? So the i'rab of this is majrur. Right? So we have mubtada or cover. Right? The whole thing is cover. Right? So Muhammadun Rasulullah. Right? No different if we said something like right? Al-qalam jadid. Mubtada and cover. So the i'rab then is what? It's simple. Once you know it, because the rule in Arabic don't change. This is mubtada. What's the rule for mubtada in Arabic grammar? It's not damma, it's marfu. Right? Right? Al-qalamu. That's the cover. What's the rule for cover? Marfu also. That's the rule. Right? That's singular. Let's change the number now. This is why we don't say Marfu, we don't say mubtada is with dhamma, we say mubtada is marfu. Al-qalam, wahid. Let's make two of them. How do we say two? Come on. Al-qala.
Name.
Qala what?
Man.
Ma. Ni. Al-qalamani. Come on, let's finish it. Jadi. Jadi what? Jadidani. Jadidani. Okay? Now let's look at this here. Al-qalamani jadidani. Mubtada, cover. We're not going to let this be a thorn in our side. This is nothing but a door. A muthanna. A door. Duality. Al-qalamani jadidani. Singular. Al-qalamu jadidun. Mubtada, cover. So we have the same thing. So if the rule in Arabic is what's the grammatical rule for mubtada in Arabic with regards to i'rab? It's what? It's marfu. And its cover? Marfu. That's not an argument. That's not the issue. The issue we have to learn is how to identify the signs of i'rab. So how to identify the signs of rough. For a singular noun, it's dhamma. But for a dual, look at it. What do you think the sign is? They're telling us that this is rough, that this is marfu.
The long aleph.
The aleph is telling us that it's marfu. Had nothing to do with the noon. The noon is letting us know for the duality. Okay? It's the aleph is telling us that it's marfu. So it's the aleph now. Al-qalamani jadidani. It's the aleph. If we had to, we could also say, under circumstances, we could also say, al-qalamaini. You see? Al-qalamaini. Jadidani. Have a conflict here, don't we? Everybody see the conflict? Al-qalamaini jadidani. Everybody see the conflict? What's the conflict?
Yeah.
One is marfu with, one is not, jadidani is marfu with aleph. We don't know what that is yet. Right? We don't see the aleph. So for a dual, aleph is a sign of rough. Okay, I'm going to say that again. In a dual noun, the aleph is a sign of rough. Okay? All right, let's tie this in so we can get to this here. Okay? All right. We're not going to go over the whole list today because they'll be coming later on with Dr. Abdur-Rahim, and then also, as we learn some way to get them. We'll introduce two words that are used on mubtada and cover. Maybe even three, because I used it when we was talking earlier about our qissa. Okay? We have two words that we want to introduce. One of them, okay, they only used, if you take them away, you will see that there's nothing more than mubtada and cover. Right? That word is the word inna and anna. Okay? Inna and anna are always used, right? They precede mubtada and cover. They are used on nominal sentences. And so it must be used, in other words, if you take them away, what's left is mubtada and khabar. But as soon as you put them in there, right, it changes the rules. And this is what happens. Everybody pay attention. Mubtada is marfu. Its khabar is what? Marfu. Okay? Nothing is there. So nothing is affected. Mubtada is able to do its job. Khabar is able to do its job in terms of i'rab. Once we add words like inna, okay, it's going to affect something. In Arabic, it's called the mubtada because it's the word that mubtada, bada, budiya al-jumla. It's the word that begins the sentence. Okay? Once we put inna in here, right? Let's go and put inna in here. Inna is used for emphasis. It's to strengthen. It's to give to your mubtada. Once we use inna, inna is also an amil. It's an agent that affects i'rab. It's gonna affect the i'rab of the mubtada. So as a result of that, there we can't call this in grammar. We can't call it the mubtada anymore. Why? Why? Because the mubtada, what's the i'rab of mubtada?
Marfu.
It's marfu. When we use inna, inna affects the mubtada. It causes this now to change its name. We can't call it the mubtada now. We have to now call this is the ism, because it's an ism. Ism of inna. It's the noun of inna. It's called ismu inna. And the ismu inna, the i'rab of ismu inna is that it's mansoob. So we have to say, let's make it more realistic because this sound more believable. We say it all every day. Anna ashhadu anna Muhammadan. Right? That's what we say, right? For those who call the adhan, right? Right? And even when we take our shahada. Right? So it doesn't matter whether it's inna or anna, but we just so can fit the meaning here. Okay? We can still say inna, right? So it affects the i'rab of Muhammad, which was without inna or anna is the mubtada. Once we put that in the sentence, now it becomes Muhammadan. Right? It ends in it's mansoob. It doesn't affect the khabar at all. But the name has changed. This is now called ismu inna, or in this case ismu anna now, because we're using anna. So if this was the khabar, now we call this khabru anna. Or if it was inna, we call it khabru inna. So the grammar rule is this.